Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to A Glimpse into Infinity, with today's episode being about beliefs and if they're too vague to be able to follow today. And before we get into the main topic, the guest, and why we brought him on the show, me and Juan are going to give a brief summary for our beliefs, and I'll start. So, growing up, I was Roman Catholic, went to church school, all that. As I got older, I didn't go to church as often, and as of right now, I believe in a higher power. I just simply don't pray to it.
Yes, and for me, pretty much the same background story.
Yeah.
Went to church, grew up going to church, became really close to it, did my first communion, my confirmation, all that kind of stuff, but then lately I'm more of like culturally Catholic, so I still I basically follow it, attend major events, go to church from time to time, but we're not like dedicated to it.
Oh, do I introduce myself?
Yeah.
All right, so my name is James Thatch. I'm a senior mechanical engineering student, and for me, my beliefs is that like growing up, my family is really big on tradition. So when I was a kid, we would go to temple a lot, and that would keep going until it got more in high school. But after I finished high school and lived my own, I kind of stopped doing like a lot of the traditions, really.
Okay.
Okay, well, the reason why we brought on you as a guest is because of that background. Me and Juan are really not even familiar with Buddhism or any of those other beliefs, or I guess you can consider it a religion. Depends on, who I'm asking. But the first question to start off the episode would be, based on your experience, I wanted to ask, why did you become a monk in the first place?
Okay, so I became a monk my junior summer, and it was because like my parents were immigrants, so they came to the United States, right? And tradition and where we're from is the oldest firstborn is supposed to be a monk to help like lessen the sins for when my parents die. And I noticed like in my bigger family, a lot of like the firstborn sons weren't like doing that. They were kind of just living their American lives, and I wanted to keep like the tradition intact. So I decided to like become a monk that summer.
Okay. And what's your like story with that? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay.
We intrigued.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, like I don't know how in depth you guys want me to go, but when I first told my mom that I wanted to be a monk, right? She's like, she almost couldn't believe it, because she was like, "What, really? My son?" So I told her, and she was like so happy, and then she told like all her grandparents, and everybody was like so happy too, and I was like, wow, it's pretty cool to have like the tradition still here. And then my dad was like pretty iffy about it, because he didn't know if he was gonna like lose me like to the monastery.
Yeah.
And I at the time I didn't really understand it, because like I heard from my mom's side, they were like, oh, they're so happy. So I was like, why wouldn't my dad be that happy? But then as I got older, I was like, yeah, I'm his son, and like I sort of see it now.
And the firstborn too.
Exactly.
Yeah, the firstborn. So that's like my reaction to telling to my family about it.
Okay.
And then do you want to know like the whole everything about it, or?
Well, I guess
Next
going
question.
as much in depth as I guess also you're comfortable with.
Oh, okay. So I became a monk at the monastery of like my town, which is like a big like Cambodian area. And I was like the first monk there, like first in monk training since like I think early 1990s. Yeah, there wasn't like any new monks
Jesus.
coming in. Like there was only 2 head monks there from Cambodia, and then I was just pulling up, and they're like, oh, the training. Oh, so I started with the whole. I moved all my stuff to the monastery, and I had to like start like following the rules of the temple. And the first rule was like that I followed was I have to wear only like white clothing, which signified that I was like a monk in
Pure.
training. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was in training. And then after that I spent like a couple weeks like going around following them, seeing what they did, like shadowing sort of.
Yeah.
And it was very fun and interesting. And then after like 2 more weeks or a couple more weeks of like studying like the texts and stuff, I became an official monk, which had like its whole ceremony. Everybody was there. It's pretty fun. And then I actually got to be a monk for like another month and a half. And then I decided to not be a monk because I had cross-country training coming up. And I was like, I got to get back in shape, because when you're a monk, you're not really physically training that much. It's a lot of in temple stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember like when I told my mom that I was done being a monk, she was like, "Oh, you're gonna finish?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom. I did it for the tradition, and now I'm happy with how it came."
Mm-hmm. And she wasn't so happy, but now your dad was happy. He's
Sort
"Let's
of
go.
like that,
I got my
yeah.
son back."
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then, what drove you to stop? Like, why did you stop?
Why did I stop being a monk? Well,
Yeah.
so going through like studying and everything, I noticed like there's a lot of sacrifices you have to take
Mm-hmm.
when you devote yourself to a religion,
Yeah.
like any religion, really, not just Buddhism. Like one of the things I studied was the 5 precepts and the 8 precepts.
Mm.
So when you're a Buddhist, right, you follow the 5 precepts, which is firstly, no violence, no stealing, no lying, no like sexual misconduct, and you can't consume anything that alters the mind, right?
Mm.
So that's like what Buddhism's sake. But when you're a monk, there's 3 more, and like now it's technically 5 because it's kind of hard to describe them since they're so old. So the 5 that you get when you're a monk now is you can't accept gold or silver. Basically means you can't take money, right?
Yeah.
You can't sleep in like with height, which is like an old rule, meaning you can't sleep on a bed. Basically, you sleep on a mat.
Yeah. On the floor.
Mm-hmm. You can't eat past noon, which is like when the sun's over your head. There's 2 more. Oh yeah, you can't attend dancing or singing, which is actually interpreted as like you can't have entertainment.
Pretty much.
And then another one is you can't use anything that beautifies your body, which is like shampoo and stuff like that. So I gave all that up when I was a monk, and like 16-year-old me was like, wow, this is really hard. So
Yeah, because all that stuff, like, you don't really think about it, but that's part of your normal life.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Like no shampoo,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
no deodorant, like
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you say you're in the bus, you pop a headphone, listen to music. He's like,
yeah,
none
exactly.
Of
No
Like,
music.
no headphones, no
Yeah,
music.
That's prison.
Yeah, and growing up like as a gamer, you know, like no video
that.
games.
So, yeah.
I can't.
It was harder for you then.
Yeah, it was an endurance. So yeah, that's why I wanted to stop being a monk.
So then they basically, what I'm getting is they basically make you lose attachment to pretty much everything.
Yeah. So I don't know how much more in depth you want me to give about Buddhism, right? But another thing that you brought up was the 4 noble truths, which is one of the first things you learn in the 2 months of training. It's that 1 is there's suffering, right? 2 is that suffering comes from attachment to things. 3 is that there is a way to get out of this suffering, and 4 is that it's like the Buddha, like nirvana, like that's sort of the way.
Okay. So then, so like they make you lose attachment to all things, right? Because attachment is related to suffering.
Yeah.
But then, isn't the belief yourself? Aren't they making you be attached to the belief itself and to everything you just mentioned?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like the idea of it is lose attachment in things, right?
Yeah.
And then you're getting attached to the belief of Buddhism itself, right?
Okay.
And thinking about it, right? I guess what they really mean is like you want to lose attachment to physical things and be more spiritual, but you're still attached to Buddhism. I see what you mean there. Yeah.
Because also like this attachment in the belief translate into physical things.
Yeah.
As you said, like body hygiene. That's now that's physical. And like wear all white, that was just when you were monk in training. That's also physical. So like, there's part of the beliefs which translate to the physical world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to ask, like, coming off of that, like, did you see, like, because you said that attachment was necessary to let go, right? Did you see a lot of monks not lose that sense of attachment? Like, because, like, it's obviously in text, it says to do this, but did people actually follow it, is my question. To what degree?
Yeah, so when I was first becoming a monk, right, the things I noticed other monks do, I didn't really pick up that much, right, because I'm new in here. I see everything, right? But then as I became more into the monastery, right, I saw that other monks have, like, sort of bended the rules, and it kind of didn't sit with me well. Like, for example, monks would have cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of breaks like Buddhism, that you're not supposed to have
Pretty much
possessions, you know?
everything, yeah.
Like, but how it's like not spun off as, but like how it's agreed upon is that they have cell phones
Mm-hmm.
so that they can better the community through like reach, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's like
But
one.
then,
You know?
mhm.
Yeah.
But then they will use the cell phones for other things as
Yeah,
well.
we use cell phones for like
Mm.
Facebook, social media, like
The memes.
the memes. Yeah. Like,
So that's entertainment right there.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's
straight up
breaking
entertainment.
a rule of entertainment. Well, the actual rule, what they read is like no dancing or singing, but what like that's supposed to mean is like no entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To an extent.
So it sounds to me like, does the rule say no, is explicitly no entertainment or no singing and dancing?
So the rules are made like long ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Before there was the internet or anything. So the rules specifically state that like there should be no dancing, singing, or like
Well,
like visiting shows or anything like that.
back then, that was like the only entertainment.
Yeah, that was like the signs of
Exactly.
entertainment.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it basically interprets like no entertainment.
So would you say the rules are outdated?
I would say that the foundation upon the rules were written on are not outdated, but how they're represented are outdated. Like
Mm.
the foundations is that no entertainment, but how it's presented is no dancing or singing.
Okay.
So if you like, yeah, that's basically it. Like they need to be like more better explained rather than like the one person looking at it and interpreting it their way.
Exactly.
So then, for example, so then do you not agree that the monks use their phones for the better of the community, as you said?
I think the monks always have like an intention of doing good,
Mm-hmm.
and they always use their phone for like good, right? It's just sometimes that they don't know that it's not being good. Like I don't think monks should have social media, but they have social media to like Facebook Live to other people, right?
Exactly.
But from their perspective, it's wholesome, as I would say.
Okay. So then, if you do think like the rules are not like properly explained, who do you think has the right to change those rules or
Oh.
change that?
That's really hard.
Exactly. It's like
That's really because like the guy's not around, so
yeah.
I don't. There's no one really to like go into the books and like change it or make an announcement that everybody will listen to and change it.
Exactly.
It's like from a notice from other places of Buddhism, like China and like Vietnam and Cambodia, is that they all follow monks, right? Different monks. They don't really like. They go to the temple and they listen to the monk talk to them. So it's different from other temples around. So I guess it's up to the whoever's in charge of their respective temple to make announcements like that.
Yeah.
There's like no one head monk above all.
Okay. So then, do you think that's why they do use phones and like subconsciously do these things which are wrong because it's not explicitly said, so therefore it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's like if you break the rules, you're like if people say you broke the rules, but you're like, whoa, it doesn't say I cannot do this. It's like that same logic. It
Yeah.
doesn't say I cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's what they interpret, how they interpret the rules is usually how
Exactly.
it goes.
And going off what you said about the rules changing, like it goes from monk to monk, does that mean that it's still the same literature? Is it still the same teachings, the same way, if it's from different monks with different perspectives and their own ways of teaching?
So it's like a big like miscommunication fest, right? Like the text itself is written in a language that no one speaks. So when you're learning it, you get a translated version, and when it's translated, you lose like some interpretation. And then when you read it yourself, you interpret it your own way. So it
Okay.
goes through many like filters of interpretation. So like monks don't really see it the same way unless they're together, because then they would learn from the same like way of interpreting it. Yeah, it's sort of like people interpreted it differently
Okay.
from the book because
So-
it's in a different language.
So yeah, so you like these different countries interpret it differently. Can you make the argument that it's basically not the same as the original, and therefore like it's its own thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like my master, he's from like Cambodia, right?
Yeah.
And he taught it to me in English,
Oh wow.
so it's different from like how it was taught to him in Cambodia. I would even go as far to say like this is like sort of American Buddhism, like in
Exactly,
quotes,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it's different now. It
Yeah.
went through a different.
It can kind of be like the same way with like religion.
Yeah.
Like you have Christianity, which is like the original one, I would say, or Jewish, which was the original one, and then Jesus came. So then the people that follow Jesus branched off, and now that was Christianity because they believe in Christ. And now you have Catholics, and then you have all these other people, which in theory they all believe in Christ, right? But then you have Catholics that believe in saints and all that stuff, but then Christians don't really believe in saints. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like it's like all these branches branched off.
Yeah, it's branching.
So if so many religions are similar to what Juan was just saying, why do you think there are so many different religions if it's both basically the same thing or similar things?
Yeah, like one thing is like a lot of like different religions have like the same, I'll say, goal in mind. Because I'll say we can agree that pretty much every religion talks about heaven or hell.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do we have these different religions if they all have the same outcome?
Exactly.
So like all the Buddhisms, right? They all follow the same path of like reaching nirvana, right?
Yeah.
Enlightenment. And there's different versions of Buddhism. Like I know in Japan they have like Zen Buddhism, which is more about the individual reaching it themselves, right?
Okay.
And I know like in Cambodian Buddhism, right? It's like more grouped together, like monasteries. So I guess like why like they're all split up is or different is because people have their own preferences
Yeah.
of approaching things, right? Like if I was brought up this way, right, about Buddhism, and then someone's like, well, over here we reach it this way, I would respect that. Like we can
Okay.
be different like that.
And you think this difference comes from just people being different, or the fact that I'll say it's more convenient for them to just do it that way?
I guess over as time goes, it's as convenient because if you were born into that way
Yeah.
and that's the way you're going, it's kind of inconvenient to change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it is more convenient.
Because I'm basing off from your example, like
Yeah.
the Zen Buddhism from Japan, you could argue it was because like Japanese were probably more individualistic and not like as community wise. So therefore, it was more convenient for them to follow this new type. It's like, hey, we don't really like how things are done that way, so let's do it this way. Let's
Yeah,
make our own.
definitely.
All the foundations are the same.
So then do people only believe in it if it's convenient for them?
I'd say, yeah, sort of, yeah. Like, I'll take, for example, my siblings, right?
Yeah.
I have 3 other brothers, so there's 4 boys from my parents, right? And out of all 4 of them, I'm the most religious one. And that's because it's, like, very convenient for me. And for my other siblings, they're not very, like, that religious. And, yeah, I do think that, like, they believe in it because it's what's the word?
Convenient?
Convenient.
Convenient
Yeah.
for them. Okay. Yeah. Another example you can make is like, let's call it like sub beliefs. Like a lot of people have like their main beliefs, but now we see like these sub beliefs like astrology.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's not really like, so most people
Yeah,
don't really
exactly.
have that as like their main thing that they believe like every time. But then they do have it on the side. It's like, hey man, let me check my sign.
My horoscope for today.
Yeah.
Let me see what's gonna happen to me this month, you know.
Yeah.
But then they still like are Catholic, they're still like Buddhist, they're still like this other religion, and then they have like this sub belief on the side. Do you think it's because of that? Like it's just more convenient for them, or is it because like these sub beliefs are answering questions
That the religion doesn't answer.
that their main belief doesn't answer?
Well, I have sort of like some sub beliefs too, and it's mostly because like I'm very interested in like what's going on
Yeah.
on that side. Like one sub belief I have is about like Islam and not eating pork, right? And it's because eating pork can get you sick because like
The pork's pigs eat everything.
yeah. And I was like, oh wow, that's very interesting. They have that as a way to like protect the population from disease. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's just very interesting to have those other sub beliefs. So I do think that like sub beliefs come from interests, right?
Interests.
If you're interested in astrology, you'll start like looking more into it.
Okay. So then when do you think that line is crossed of that interest starts taking over your main belief, right? Because let's say another belief is like people that go to like future tellers, or people that go to like like witchcraft people. You know, that's already invading their belief.
Yeah.
Because they go into like the other side. So it's like, what do you think makes people cross that side then?
I think when they take action that they normally wouldn't take, right? Like, for me, I guess it would be visiting like a mosque and getting like deep into like the literature of it. That's when I would consider myself like studying more Islam than Buddhism. That's where when you do an action that you wouldn't normally do, like that.
And what would lead you to that action?
I guess what first got me into Islam was over the summer I'll take a lot of Ubers to my job, and it just happened that a lot of them were Islam, so they would like talk to me about it, and I was very interested through that. So I guess if I come in contact with more people that would talk to me about Islam, I'll get more interested into it.
Okay, so that raises a really interesting question. Let's say back in Cambodia, right? It's like you couldn't really learn about Islam or get close to Islam because the whole culture there was that one thing.
Yeah.
Right? Or let's say in like Lion countries, it's like Catholics.
Yeah.
It's like the whole culture is focused on that thing, so you can't really learn. So why do you think people like come to like countries like America where it's like really diverse? Why do you think they still stick to their main belief, even though they find some other beliefs as interesting, but then they choose not to follow it?
Okay.
Right? Like most people do stay. Like it's rare when you see someone change. It's like, oh, I was Catholic, or now I follow Islam.
Yeah.
It's like that's rare to see.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a great question, and like to answer that, I'm gonna speak for myself, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, Cambodia is like 98% Buddhist, right? So coming to America and being born, I'm Buddhist, right? But then like, wait, what was the question again? Like,
It's like why most people don't change.
oh, okay, I
Right.
got you now.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm not gonna change my like primary religion, right? Because everyone else in my family is also Buddhist, and it takes a big part in their day. And I just grew up with that sense of identity,
Yeah.
where if I lose my connection to like Buddhism, I'll feel like I'm not that big part of the family anymore.
Okay.
Like sort of if you go to a dinner table, right, and everybody's like talking about the holidays or something, and then you're like, oh, I'm changing my beliefs, and then you're sort of feeling at the corner of the dinner table now, and you're not really talking
Yeah.
that. So for me personally, I'm interested in a lot of other religions, but I'm gonna stick to my main one because of family.
Because of family.
Family, yeah.
So and that goes back to a point of like most people follow religion or to a point where it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
Because if your whole family stopped following Buddhism as well, then
You probably change.
You
I'll probably change
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
That is interesting. So then, can you say? Actually, nah, I'm formulating.
Okay. I was gonna ask, since you mentioned before, like piggybacking off your question, you mentioned that you'd follow it because your whole family follows it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't learn about other religions. My question would be, why do people are so narrow-minded with their religion? I think their religion is like better than others. Let's talk about that for a second.
I guess it's a lot about personal attitude
Yeah.
more than the religion itself. Because like I'm a very open person.
Yeah.
Like I like to take things in, see things from other perspectives. But a lot of people aren't like that. They're like to view things as like black or white. Like you can find another Buddhist like from Cambodia, and they'd be like, nope, Buddhism only. Can't listen to anything else, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people like me that are like, oh, I'm interested in reading about other things. Like Uber drivers inspired me to like learn more on Islam.
Yeah.
Like media inspired me to read more about Christianity and stuff like that. So I guess it's more about the individual personality than the religion itself.
So it's like people being closed-minded, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And can you say therefore, the being here in like America, where like all these different beliefs being available to you, is it better than being like I guess in Cambodia, where it's belief is like the same, and basically that's the one you gotta follow.
Oh, I definitely believe it's better in America than in Cambodia, right? Because in Cambodia, since it's all Buddhism, right? If you don't really believe in Buddhism that much, you're missing out on a big part of Cambodian life, because Cambodian life revolves around the monastery.
Okay.
So you're like isolated?
Yeah, you're isolated. Like, while everybody's going to the temple to celebrate,
Yeah.
you're not gonna go there because you know. But in America, right? Like, I'll take myself for example. I'm very interested in Islam,
Yeah.
and I physically have the capabilities to go visit a mosque if I want to, you know.
Okay.
Like, I can go, like, as opposed to being in Cambodia, it's only the temple. I can only go there.
Yeah.
But here, I can visit a mosque. I can visit a church.
Mm.
I can read on anything.
Okay.
It's all to my interest. It's really nice.
But then I guess an argument you can make against that is that in Cambodia, it would be so much easier just to follow Buddhism, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that's all you gotta do. It's like, just follow it.
Mm.
But then in America, you get the conflict where like, you can go to like the mosque, you can go to the church, but people will know that you're like not fully part of them yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you get like that exclusion,
Yeah.
at least at the beginning. And it's also hard integrating like multiple things at once and learning multiple things. Where in Cambodia, you just got to learn about this one thing and you just follow this one thing,
Mhm.
and that's it, making your life like way simpler.
I think a big part of that is because, like, in Cambodia, since it's all Buddhism,
Yeah.
they don't really see it as like religion.
Yeah, they see it just
It's
normal
just
life.
Normal life.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's normal life, right? And then, like,
Where in here, you have
Over
to
here,
debate.
yeah, you
It's
have to
like,
debate, you
damn,
have options,
it's like
right?
my religion, my beliefs, is like this and that, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So would you say that the diverse amount of religions and beliefs in America make it so that more people question their beliefs? Or do you think that more people stick with their belief?
I think it makes more people question their beliefs
Mm.
because now you have different perspectives on things, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say I grew up all Buddhist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I see something in Buddhism that I don't like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but then Christianity has it the way like I see it as right. I'm gonna have
Mm.
conflicts with that, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. But then, is that really a good thing for the religion? Like, talking from a religion point of view, is that really a good thing? Where you start questioning its beliefs? No, right? Because you can't really, like religions are, like, pretty, like, inclusive, like, exclusive. You can't really, like, mix and match them from their perspective.
Well, I honestly believe that all religion does is it teaches you how to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all religions, they all have some sort of like rules or ethics to follow.
Mm.
So when it comes down to like declaring your religion, I think that's more of a personal thing
Yeah.
than the religion itself. Like I learned this a lot in high school that like all religion does is just teaches you how to be a good person.
Mm.
All right. So your standpoint right now is like, I have these different beliefs, which happen to come from different religions, but I'm just trying to be a better person and the best person I could be.
Yeah.
So that's your mindset right now.
Yeah.
So if someone asks you, it's like, what's your religion?
Oh, I would say
You
like
say Buddhism,
Buddhist,
right?
yeah.
Because culturally, that's what you celebrate.
yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like my individual decision.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I decide that like
But your belief system is made up of
Oh,
like
yeah.
multiple beliefs and the sub beliefs that we talked about. Yeah.
that's like very individual there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So then, can you say that like this, like all these different beliefs, it's like making religion like more vague to follow today? Right? It's like because the amount of people that follow religion is going down. Can you say that's because people are just stop believing
Mm.
like whatsoever, or they're just like you starting to believe in other things little at a time, and therefore they don't
Filling in those
identify with
gaps.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't.
I think it's both
Mm-hmm.
because like now people have like the freedom to choose what they want to believe in.
Yeah.
Like in Cambodia, it's just Buddhism, right?
Exactly.
But in America, like a lot of Cambodian kids, right, or I guess Asian Americans, they're like, oh, I'm free to choose really whatever I want to believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not stuck in that community of like Cambodia where everybody's Buddhist. They're in a very diverse place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think what's contributing to like the sort of decline of religious following is that we get to choose what we want to follow now.
Okay.
Like
Mm.
whether we choose to or not to, it's all up to us, right?
So you wouldn't necessarily say it's because the rules are outdated. You'd say it's because we have options to choose now, right? Or would you say it's a mix of both?
Yeah, it's like
It's a mix of both. I'll definitely
Yeah,
like
okay.
the population being more informed
Mm-hmm.
about other options.
yeah.
Because back in the day, like you couldn't communicate with like people from America
Yeah.
and learn about beliefs here, or people from Islam and learn about beliefs there, because you couldn't. You just
Exactly.
couldn't.
Yeah.
But now with like the internet, you learn everything. You
Yeah.
talk to everyone.
Yeah, you can look everything up, research.
Yeah, pretty much. So then, do you see it as like not nearly necessary, but do you see it as like, oh, it's a must that not a must, but it's like, do people have to believe in something?
Oh no,
No.
I don't think you have to believe in religion, because I still believe that all religion does, it teaches you how to be a good person.
Well, but not necessarily religion, just anything.
Oh,
like,
believe in
like look
Like a
up to
higher
something.
power?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
look
a
up to-
higher power. Yeah.
No, I
Because
don't-
the
wait.
people, there's people like people that say they're atheists.
Yeah.
Like atheists, is they don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
They just go on about their day with like,
Mhm.
it's like
They
that's
just
it.
live life, right?
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
live life.
Yeah.
Do you think people need to believe in something
Oh,
higher
no.
than themselves?
I don't think people need to believe in something higher than themselves.
Mm.
Because, like, ultimately, like, at the end of the day, the only guarantee is that you are you,
Mm.
and that you have complete control over your life. So that's like my truest biggest belief, that like at the end of the day, it's all up to you. It's
Okay.
not
Mhm.
up to whether you believe in a higher power or not. You don't have to.
So, what would you say to someone who's interested in getting into religion, but they say that like from everything we've said and spoken about, their argument is something along the lines like the rules are outdated or it's too vague to follow today because those rules were applicable a long ass time ago. So, what would you say to that person?
I would say look at the rules, read them, and then interpret them how you would see them, right? Because a lot of things you read online is someone else's interpretation. Like, if I look up online the 10 precepts, one of them will be no entertainment, just 2 words.
Mhm.
But if you look at the specific rule, it's like no dancing, singing, or viewing a place of enjoyment, right?
Mm.
And when I read that, I'm like, okay, so basically what they said was you can't enjoy stuff, no
Yeah.
entertainment. So it's where you look at things and how you interpret those yourself. Like the last one, which is like the biggest one, is you can't accept gold or silver. And that's what it says like in the text, right? And what that's supposed to, and what I interpret it as is you can't accept anything with monetary
Yeah, so
value.
You can't work.
Yeah, you can't
can't.
accept things with monetary value. So, but you, like monks still take donations,
Mhm.
and I was like, because like when I was a monk, right, going to
Yeah.
houses and like doing my services and stuff, they would give donations, and I'm like, Master, do I really accept this? And yes, you can accept it,
Mm.
but the conditions on accepting it is that it's to bettering the monastery or to like
Okay.
help the fees. Sort of like how when you donate to church, they have
Yeah.
like scholarships and stuff like that.
So we like cancel out, like accepting the money and then using it for something else.
Good, yeah. You
cancels
can't
out.
use it to like buy a new iPhone. you
Yeah.
know? You can't use it to like
Mm.
order pizza next
Yeah.
door as a monk. You know, that's sort of how like it works.
My follow-up question to that would be who added that implementation of that rule? Because you said no accepting of gold or silver, but then you said that you can accept it on these conditions. So my question would be, who made those conditions?
I don't know who made those conditions, but it was how my master interpreted to me, how
Mm.
I understand it. So another monk would probably not accept it. You know.
Exactly at all.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to interpretation.
Yeah. Interpretation and convenience and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's really interesting because I don't know. Before I probably thought like religion, it was like something that always like if you don't follow. Because I was like you, like back in my country, it's like everyone was Catholic.
Yeah.
It's like people didn't say I don't believe.
Mhm.
Because it was like it's like that didn't exist, you know. It was either you are or like you are. It's like everyone is just like it.
Mhm.
There was the people that didn't do as often, but then they still believe.
Mhm.
They still have like a picture of God or like
Yeah.
the rosary in like their house or something like that.
Mhm.
So I went through like the same process when I got here. It was like I started learning about all these other beliefs and like how interesting they are,
Yeah.
and I don't really like I guess learn about them for me and implement them to my life. But it's like good to know that there's other things out there
Mm.
and like that are as interesting or have other things which I see like as more right, let's say. So yeah, I'll say personally I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to learn new. It's always good to keep an open mind. You know, there's too many debates about who's right, who's wrong. You know, I think overall, you just, like James said, just be a good person,
Yeah.
right? And along those lines, I want to ask you if you have any questions left on your mind for the audience.
Oh, the audience?
Yeah. Like
Questions?
Any questions like that you want them to think about, to ponder about, just for after the episode,
Hmm.
like to go home with on their mind, just like a question, like.
think of a physical possession that you have,
Yeah.
and if you were to lose that, how would you react? Like for me, my example,
Yeah.
a physical possession that I really love is my computer, right?
Yeah.
And if I was to lose that, I'd be like, I gotta get another computer.
Right.
But so let's say I can't get another computer, I'll just be like, wow, I was really attached to that thing.
What do you think that will help them achieve? What do you think that will help them achieve?
I think it would help them achieve like awareness that like we're sort of relying on things. Like I'm definitely reliant on my computer for like entertainment, right? Like I'm not gonna go outside to a playground and swing on the swings when I have my computer at home and I can watch YouTube.
Pretty much.
So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on episode.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
We want to wrap it up, and thank you guys for joining us as we take one step further into infinity.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time. And
See
make
you
sure
next
to
time.
drop a like, comment, and follow us on our social media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And check out the Patreon, pretty much. The most important thing, we have exclusive access in there. And you have the chance of being in that seat next.
All right. I'll see you guys later.